Okay, hello everyone. I figured I would create a video to explain how to do 5 through 8 on page 18 or page 83 out of your workbook. And then that way you know how to do the problems that I have assigned you that are over that method. So I was just going to go through 5 through 8 with you, work them out, give you the video as a reference. You can go back to this at any time, and hopefully it explains everything that you need. So we're going to start with number 5. It has the roots of negative square root of 10 and negative 4 listed. Anytime you see a square root or anything with an I term, you have to also list their conjugate. So because there's a negative square root of 10, we also have a square root of positive square root of 10 or a 0 of positive square root of 10 to list. So we actually have 3 different zeros: negative square root of 10, positive square root of 10, and negative 4 that we have to multiply out to get our polynomial. So what you do is you go down and you make parentheses with x's and you do the opposite of what each term shows. So since it's a negative square root of 10, I put x plus the square root of 10. Then I'm going to list its conjugate next to it because that's what I'm going to multiply out first. Positive square root of 10 would be a minus when I put it in the parentheses because we always do opposite. And then I'm going to put x plus 4 at the end. So these are my 3 factors. We learned about factors before the zeros. These are the 3 factors, and now we're almost doing the reverse of what we had been doing. Before, we were taking a polynomial and factoring it out. Now we're taking the factors and multiplying them out to get the polynomial from the beginning. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through with 2 polynomials at a time, and I'm going to multiply or distribute them out. Now, if you guys remember back when we learned how to multiply out, I showed you this method that we did called the box method, and I feel like most of you liked it the best. So I'm going to show it to you this way again. You can just distribute out your parentheses and do your little rainbow and just carry all the terms through like that if you want to. Or you can do the box method. So on the box method, whatever's in our first parenthesis, we put along the side here, an x and a positive square root of 10. And then whatever's in our second parenthesis goes on top, x and negative square root of 10. And then what this allows us to do is to make sure we don't forget any terms at all, because we're going to multiply every set together to fill in each box. So x times x is x squared in the first box. X times square root of 10 is just x square root 10. You cannot put numbers that don't have square roots underneath, so you have to leave them out front. X times a negative square root of 10 is negative x square root 10. And then square root of 10 times negative square root of 10 is negative square root of 100, because you do multiply the 2 numbers together. So now when I go through and I want to simplify this down, I notice that my middle 2 boxes here cancel each other out because one's positive and one's negative of the same thing. So then all I get left is x squared, and then the square root of 100 goes to just 10, so it just equals minus 10 or negative 10. So that is what the first 2 parentheses multiply out to. And then I drop down the x plus 4 here for the last parenthesis that I have to multiply out. And then I can repeat the same process. So I can go back, I can set up my box method again, which I don't have a great amount of space for, but we're going to make it work. I'm going to put x squared and negative 10 on the left side. And I'm going to put x and positive 4 on the top. Then I'm going to multiply these out. So x squared times x is x to the third. X squared times 4 is 4x squared. Then x times negative 10 is negative 10x. And 4 times negative 10 is negative 40. So when I look at all of those, none of those terms are the same. They all have different exponents, different variables then, so nothing combines. So my final polynomial answer, and the way that I write my answer is I put f of x equals, and then it's going to be just all my parts in order. So x cubed plus 4x squared minus 10x minus 40. Now I ran out of space. I couldn't put all on the same line, but that is my answer then. And that's the type of answer you're looking for as you work each of these out. The biggest thing here is just making sure you include the conjugate of whatever term has one in your problem. Okay, I'm going to continue with the recording, and I'm going to go ahead and go through a second one. I'm limited to time, so you can always go back and view these and pause it if you need to. So I am going to do number 7 and show you that one. 1 minus 8i and positive 9 are the two listed. So then, because I have an I term, I also know that 1 plus 8i is my other term. The only term you change is the one with the square root of the I, the sign that you change. So I don't change the 1, I just change the 8i to the opposite sign. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place each of them in parentheses. So to start off, it's going to be x minus 1 plus 8i. And the reason it's that way is because I switch all the signs of my first term. Then I'm going to put its conjugate next to it, which is x minus 1 minus 8i. Again, they look the same. It's just one's a positive 8i and one's a negative 8i. And then I have x minus 9 as my third parenthesis. So again, the same thing here. What I would recommend you do is you create the box, and this time you're actually going to have 3 terms. So we're going to have to make enough room for 3 boxes on the top and 3 on the side. So we're going to make a 9-section box, a 3x3 box. So I'm actually going to go to the next page and create it and write the terms out and multiply it to show you what's going on. So we're going to take this box here, and we're going to separate it into 9 separate squares. And if we go back and look, we're going to put x minus 1 plus 8i on the side. So x minus 1 and a positive 8i. And then the other one is x minus 1 and a negative 8i. So the box method is probably the best way to see how it works and make sure you multiply everything out. When you have 3 terms, it's a lot easier to forget things. So I would do it this way. So x times x, so now if I go through and I fill everything in, I have x squared. If I go across the top, then I have a negative 1x, and I have a negative 8ix. All right, if I go to the middle row, I'm taking negative 1 times everything on the top. So I have a negative 1x here. I have positive 1 because it's a negative 1 times a negative 1. And I have a positive 8i. And then I take 8i times everything. So I have a positive 8ix, a negative 8i. And for the last one, it's 8i times negative 8i. So it's negative 64i squared. It's a lot of terms in there, and it may seem a little overwhelming and confusing at first, but I know you guys can get it. Key thing here, Your I terms should all cancel out when you multiply something by its conjugate. And if you have I terms, they should cancel. So positive 8i and negative 8i cancel. Positive 8ix, negative 8ix cancel. All right, and then if you remember, I squared always equals -1. So this bottom corner box is going to be -64 times -1, which would make it a +64. So then when I write out my equation that comes out of this box, or these two multiplies, I'm going to have x squared first. I have two -1x's, so it's going to be -2x. And then I have 1 plus 64, so it's going to be plus 65. All right, so that's my first parenthesis. A lot of work to get there, but it gets you to a nice parenthesis. Now I've got to switch back over to the other screen, and I don't want to forget my last parenthesis that I haven't multiplied. So this is just the two conjugates. And then if you notice, I have this x minus 9 that I have to do last. So we are going to take this new parenthesis that we found times x minus 9. So x squared minus 2x plus 65 times x minus 9. And again, you can set it up in the box form. It's going to be a 3 by 2. So 3 rows by 2 columns, because I'm going to put x squared, negative 2x, positive 65 on the side, and then x negative 9 on the top. And I'm going to multiply it through. All right, so I'm just going to do that really quick. X to the third, x squared times negative 9. Then I take negative 2x times each of them on the top. Negative 2x times negative 9 is positive 18x. Then I take 65 times both of them on the top. And I need to remember my math. Whatever 65 times 9 is, I guess. Okay, so 585, and it is a negative. Can't forget that. All right, so now something that you should notice when you do this, when you get to this final step. So you're doing a lot of multiplication, but your diagonal boxes here match up because they have the same x. They both have x squared, or they both have regular x. So when I go and I write out my final answer, f of x equals, then it's going to be x to the third minus 11x squared, because I combine those two, plus 83x, again I can combine those two, minus 585. And that's my final answer. So I'm showing you these two. If I need to create another video or something to help you, I certainly can. This is just to show you how to do it in the book. I would like you to then not worry about the book at this point, but to work on those 8 problems on the worksheet that you have, and you'll have 2 days to complete that. And then hopefully I'm back Monday and I will go over anything with you and work on some stuff in person. If Miss Johnson is your sub, please use her as a resource as much as you can. All right. See you later.